Welcome to Mastering the Attention Economy podcast. I'm your host, Ari Lewis. Twice a week, we interview entrepreneurs, executives, and industry leaders on how to break through the noise and capture the audience's attention. Today's guest is Nancy Zwiers. Nancy is the former CMO of Spinmaster. While at Spinmaster, she managed marketing strategy for a variety of products, including Hatchimals, Hogs and Paw Patrol. She previously worked for Kraft, Proctor & Gamble, and Mattel, where she led the Barbie brand.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here, Ari.
Well, Nancy, thanks so much for joining me. We got introduced through my aunt who used to work at Spinmaster, where you were the former CMO. Today I wanted to talk about the launch of Hatchimals. So, I think it would be good before we start to tell people, what it is and in 2016 why it was the hottest toy in the world. So I'll let you, sort of take it over. Just give us the 30-second overview on Spinmaster and the product.
Okay. Well, Spinmaster is a major global toy company headquartered in Toronto, and it has a reputation for launching innovative products. And I joined Spinmaster in 2015 as Chief Marketing Officer. The Hatchimals product was already underway. This was a product that basically allowed little children the opportunity to and the power to hatch their own little imaginary Hatchimals character, fantasy character, out of an egg. The egg actually hatched spontaneously with the child's manipulation. It was an unbelievable innovation in the realm of toys. And so when I first saw that, the prototype of that product when I joined the company, I knew we had to have a very special and unique launch campaign to do justice for this amazing product.
So when you guys, the product started the creation in 2014, but you joined the company in 2015, was there any launch plans in the works, or did you, when you joined, you began developing those launch plans, initially?
Yeah, we started in earnest working on the marketing plan for the 2016 launch in January of 16. So I was there from the beginning as it relates to the launch plan. And one of the key things is that it was such an innovative product, and we had the retailers on board with us 100%. And that allowed us to do something really unique and breakthrough. Normally, when you're launching new products for the holiday season, you hit the shelves in the early part of August and you claim your spot on shelf. Well, we learned that the demand from the retailers of the quantity of product they wanted to launch with so they could build big displays and have big ads, we will not have enough product until beginning of October. And so we were in a bind, and as so often happens, necessity is the mother of invention. And so I drew upon a previous experience I had working in the computer game business with the folks at Blizzard Entertainment. And one of the things I noticed is that video games and computer games had street dates. And they built up a lot of anticipation, and then the street date hit and everyone knew about it, and they ran out to get the game on the street date. So we ended up creating a street date for Hatchimals, October 5th, 2016, which was the first Friday in the month. And this is heading right into peak, season for holiday shopping for toys. So what we did was we created boxes that fit on the shelf to hold our space on the shelf. And we said, coming, on Hatchimals Day, October 5th. So at the store shelves, we were already starting to build anticipation. And then what we did is we created an anticipation campaign that the several weeks leading up to that October 5th date. And so let me just kind of take you through how this was the foundation of the launch plan, and then there were so many add-ons and extensions off this core thrust of the launch campaign. So we had this egg, and in order to hatch the egg You have to rub it and tilt it and rock it. And it automatically, the hatching process automatically starts as soon as you take it out of the box. Okay, but then you have to move it around, and little lights for the eyes light up, and you can see through the shell. The eyes light up, and then you can hear little sounds like beep, 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 little, and so the whole time you're feeling anticipation, and you're empowered to be the one to hatch it. So what we did for our anticipation campaign is we did a 15-second spot in the last part of September. And it just showed the beginning of the hatching process, where the eyes light up, and the girl is moving her hands around and tilting and caressing the egg, and then you hear the little sound. And we did two versions: one at the very beginning of the hatching process, one that was kind of towards the middle, where you first see the beak peck through the egg, and then it cuts off, and you have to wait until October 5th to see what's going to happen. And so we blanketed the airways with this anticipation. And then on October 5th, we employed a very proven marketing strategy for commanding attention in this very cluttered media landscape. And that is, concentrate your resources. Concentrate. So what we did was we put what normally would be an entire fall's worth of advertising, we put right in that first weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We ran 1 minute, 45-second ads, which was unheard of in toys. Most toy advertising is 15 seconds, but we wanted to tell the whole story, and it was a very robust and rich story to tell. We had a major promotion on Nickelodeon, where we had, leading up to the Hatchimals Day, we had product placement. And then on Hatchimals Day, they actually started hatching the egg on a popular Nickelodeon show. We had the morning talk shows, hatch them on air. So it was everything came together on this first weekend. Now, there's a couple things I just want to say about this. The product itself, part of the DNA of the product, is anticipation and discovery. Who will you hatch? There were many different kinds of varieties to discover. And so it's totally, suitable then to have a marketing campaign that embodies that aspect of the brand's DNA, that anticipation and discovery. And so that really drove the architecture of this campaign. Now, there were a couple things that we wanted to really make sure we put in place. One thing in particular was I had worked on Cabbage Patch in the 90s. This was after its big, huge craze in 1985 and 86. But as part of really looking to relaunch the brand in the 90s, I looked back on some of the things of that era to learn. And one of the things we learned is that it was a family event, and there was a ritual. There was a ritual of the adoption, and the launch commercial showed the little girl bringing home her Cabbage Patch from the hospital, and the family was there to greet. So I thought, back in the 90s, I I think that was the key part of what created the craze, because if you got a Cabbage Patch Kid, you were the center of attention in your whole family, right? You were the star. So when we did our commercial, we had the girls surrounded with friends, both boys and girls, because this has cross-gender appeal. And we had mom and dad there, and dad had the phone, and he was filming the daughter while she was launching or hatching the Hatchimals. And that was really designed to try and tap into that lesson learned of make the recipient the star of the entire family, give her space to really, be the star, and to model someone filming so that they can then post it, right? So we modeled it. We showed dad filming so that it would plant the idea for everyone that when you're doing this, you definitely want to get that camera rolling, because it is a magical experience for everybody. And we were able to capture that. So that was the core of the launch. It was, number one, having a street date, where we really concentrated a tremendous amount of resources, money, and investment. Number two, it was building anticipation and then creating a huge impact around the discovery. Number three, it was encouraging the whole family to get involved, which is really something that families love to do, is all be involved together. And we modeled the content generation that we wanted to see happen by showing it in a TV commercial. So that was so successful, the product took off like a rocket. And by the time, 2 weeks out, 2 weeks after Hatchimals Day, we knew we were running out of product and we would not have enough product for Christmas. And we ended up pulling the advertising for the rest of the holiday season, because we weren't going to have enough product to actually meet demand. We think this is a case where we garnered so much attention in a very crowded time period, in a crowded environment with lots of new news, that we ended up not spending very much money at all, because we didn't support the product with much marketing in November and December. So it was a pretty amazing experience, and all of that that pent-up demand, because people were it was the kind of craze where people were standing in line all night, wanting to get the product. We had so much pent-up demand. By the time we were able to get new additional quantities, was in late January, and we had the biggest first half of the company's history on the basis of selling so many Hatchimals 3 months after that initial launch.
That was a lot. But that was really helpful. That explanation. So one of the questions I have for you. So when you're doing this type of marketing, right, are you targeting the parents? Or are you targeting the children? Right? You mentioned Nickelodeon. That sounds like something primarily children would launch. Are the children going to the parents saying, "Hey, I want you to buy this product," or is the parent going, "Oh, I like this product. I think my child, will like it"?
Right. Well, starting at about age 3 is very much kid demand driven. And so kids ask for what they want, and parents want to buy what the kid wants. Now, I've been part of a study where we asked parents, what's important to you in buying, products that are kids use in their leisure time. It was a broad-based study: toys, video games, books, sporting equipment, educational games. And in surveys, they say, oh, I want to buy something that, is good for my child's development. But then we did a second part of the study where right after they bought one of these types of products, we asked parents, why did you choose that? And the overwhelming reason was, it's going to delight my child. So a lot of people who aren't familiar with the toy industry think that the purchaser should get the marketing. And point of fact, no, it's the kids. When I was running the Barbie brand, it was $2 billion. And we, out of a $55 million marketing budget, $300,000 went to adult-directed PR, and the rest went to kids. So toys is a very kid-driven business. Now, when you get something expensive, you need to address the gatekeeper. So unless it's if it's not offensive or unsafe, The biggest obstacle then would be price point. Hatchimals was selling for $59.99 was its price, which is pretty expensive for a toy. The average price of a toy is about $11. So, so we needed to, make sure that parents would be okay with it, but very little of our efforts went against parents. Obviously, we had keyword search terms that we knew parents would be looking for it based on kid request. And so we were very much at point of purchase targeting the parents. Online, it was, key search terms and, using some of the retailer online merchandising tools. And in the store, we had amazing big displays because we waited until we had enough product in October for all the retailers to get behind it in a big way. So parents were mostly reached at point of purchase.
Got it. And that's really interesting because it's something that, as someone not in the business, you'd think like, oh, I would want to send it to, I'd want to advertise to the parents. And you're saying, no, don't do that. Advertise to, the children. So, you talked about that FOMO and sort of that scarcity. Was that an intentional like product design, or did you sort of, from your launch thing, make it that you wanted to position it as it was a scarcity thing with like, I know there's like that 2-3 minute anticipation of waiting for the animal to come out of the egg. Was that sort of something that you guys cooked up, or?
Well, there's no way to know exactly how much we could have sold, but if we had had more product, we would have been delighted to sell it. And in fact, some of the negative reaction we got was from consumers who were suspicious that we created the shortage on purpose. And, parents were, it was intense because they wanted, their kid asked for one big present. They asked for a lot of things, but there's one that is at the top of their list. You want to get that for your kid, right? And so parents, it was very intense. But no, it wasn't on purpose. We over-marketed. If like relative to the amount we thought we could sell through, we created so much more demand that it took us about another year to address that, pent up demand. So no, we didn't do it on purpose. But definitely the anticipation was very purposeful. The other thing I'll just say, Ari, is that, in terms of capturing people's attention, there's so much at stake as far as discoverability. That's a really important element in today's day and age, especially when consumers are in control of what media they want. So you can't push it out all the time. You need them to discover you. There's a couple things that I learned in studying human nature, evolution, evolutionary biology and psychology, neuroscience. And one of the key things is that it helps to be really concrete. You want, especially with kids, you want to have things that are concrete. No abstractions. So rather than have this abstraction about, share this with your, friends, we had the concrete visual of dad filming in the commercial. But then what we did was we also created concrete examples of what we wanted people to do. And this was like kind of building on that core. We had all these pre-produced consumer videos from around the world that really approximated the same kind of hatching experience, but it was all, user-generated. We kind of, seeded the user-generated content with faux user-generated content, but it very, very quickly became user-generated content. So to really speak in concrete terms, to show, don't tell, those were two key things that really helped our efforts.
So, as we wrap up, one of the questions I end with is, what is one thing you would do differently, if you knew everything today and you were relaunching the product? Except the one answer you can't give is have more product. So besides that answer, what would be the one thing you would do differently, knowing what you know today and you were relaunching the product?
What would I do differently? I think we would have had more of a aggressive, coherent point of purchase merchandising program after that initial launch. The initial launch, there were huge displays. Then all the product disappeared as people were buying it. And then when we got it on the shelf at the end of January the following year, there wasn't any big comprehensive display program. And I think, one of the things I would say is that the following year, a competitor started really leaning into merchandising in a big way, and they really rode that horse to the victory line over the course of several years. They ended up being, the biggest brand in the toy industry for several years in a row. So merchandising, I think, is something that we didn't do enough of, both online merchandising at point of purchase and in-store brick and mortar point of purchase merchandising.
Well, Nancy, thanks so much for coming on. The 20 minutes went really fast. But, hopefully maybe we can continue the conversation another time talking about the post-launch of this or something like that. But for those looking to connect with you, do you have social media? They want to maybe hire you or, get advice? Like where should people find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Nancy Zwiers, and I do executive coaching through CMO Coaches. We're all former CMOs, and so not only do you get that leadership and interpersonal kind of coaching, but we also have the ability to help you really develop and refine your brand building strategies. So CMO Coaches.
Great, and the links will be on the iTunes and on YouTube. But thanks, Nancy, again for joining me, and I'll see everyone next time.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, Ari. Bye-bye.